thank you so much for all coming here. I'm absolutely honoured to be doing this. It's really pleasurable. I'll break the rule of public speaking and start with some apologies. First apology is my hat may fall off during this talk, but don't worry, I'm going to try and keep my head very straight. And the second thing is, thank you for the big build-up, but I'm afraid I have no musical instruments today. Anyway, I'm honoured to be working at the Open University in Mauritius today. I'm also honoured because I was myself a graduate of the Open University in the UK and a tutor for the Open University in the UK for 18 years. I can't speak too highly of the Open University. It fundamentally changed my life. I left a well-paid job in pharmaceuticals and with no idea what I was going to do, but I had the MBA of the Open University at my disposal, and actually that was the real confidence boost that led me to start a business, and it has lasted for 22 years. As was mentioned, I've written 7 or 11 books and contributed to 11 books on business and go around the world doing this kind of thing, and won a prize from Sir Richard Branson. Not bad for the Open University, eh? What do you think? So you're just at the beginning of this journey, and I'm sort of some way on from this. The Open University is really, really hard and different. You know, you have to do work at night, in the wee hours, on trains, on planes and other places where you can find a few minutes. We probably have some people in the room that are partners of the students. We call them in the UK Open University widows, or you know, the equivalent as men, that they have actually to do as much support to the students as, and they're unsung really. So I think actually we'd be like to give a round of applause for all your partners and loved ones that have ably supported you. Hat is still on. So I'm here working. I've brought here by the entrepreneur Vassenden over there, who is actually trying to transform Mauritius's fortunes through innovationmauritius.com. We were yesterday working up at Riche-Terre, and we did an amazing forum with a group of guests from Mauritius and some international colleagues. And innovationmauritius.com exists in order to try and transform the economy of Mauritius, to position Mauritius in the high income league. And I think all of you are perfectly positioned to help that transformation occur. One of the phrases, the catchphrases that I've developed is, I say that we've left the era of brawn-based industry. We haven't completely left it, but that was farming and industry. We are now in an economy where intelligence, information and sharing and collaboration are the watchwords of all successful businesses and organisations. So we've moved to what I call a brain-based economy. And I was told by a neuroscientist that by 2030, man, woman and machine will have reached the point of singularity where we're indistinguishable. And so you really need to learn fast in such an economy. And this is setting you up for that success, really. Just a few reflections on this. I'm going to read these from an eminent neuroscientist. This is Dr. Daniel Levitin, a neuroscientist and a musician, I would add. Music really is just applied physics, if there are any physics graduates here. We know that, so they're not so far apart, sciences and the arts. But Dr. Daniel Levitin said that in 2015, our brains absorbed 5 times more information every day than in 1986. Now, the question that you've probably solved already through your studies is the difference between not drowning in data but swimming with information. Because there is so much information out there, and I'm sure your tutors have given you plenty, but you will have learned to select that information which best suits your chosen professions. Furthermore, each of our brains processes 34 gigabytes or 100,000 words every day in our leisure time. I don't know how neuroscientists get this information. My brain is getting slightly smaller by the moment here. And, you know, information, we sometimes get this wrong. Bill Gates actually underestimated the information when he said that 640 kilobytes would be enough for all of us in about 1985 when he did the first sort of computers. So we have no idea what information and knowledge, the knowledge economy will do. But I think it's quite certain to me that if you're a faster learner and a better learner, you're perfectly poised to survive and thrive in such an economy. So, your Open University degrees will give you the ability to contribute to the growth of Mauritius, whilst also enhancing your personal career and those of your loved ones in terms of your ability to be agile, flexible and creative. I was asked to talk about my own experience of study, and I'd really rather be talking about yours, but perhaps we'll do that after the event. So, as was mentioned, I have what seems like a strange series of careers, a portfolio career. I loved science and music when I was young, and I've grown to love business as I've become older. Let me take you back, therefore, right to birth. I was born. It was a difficult birth, apparently, but I wasn't there. My mother was 45 and my dad was 67. And they apparently can't recollect much, or couldn't recollect much about it. So, and I used this fact later on to win the prize with Sir Richard Branson. My mother used to claim that I was a virgin birth. She was prone to elaboration from time to time. So I didn't know what I wanted to do early on in life. When I was 5 years old, I had the Beatles for plastic guitar with the Beatles on it, and I wanted to be a musician. But I wasn't so good at that. By the time I was 9, I really loved science, and I had a chemistry set in the front room and was trying to sort of explode things and blow the house up, as most scientists love to do. I know we don't do that anymore with health and safety, but I thought my mum didn't see any reason why I shouldn't do experimentation. And that idea of experimentation and curiosity that scientists particularly have, engineers and other people, is so valuable in today's society. So I was blessed to be scientifically trained and eventually musically sort of able. At 18 years old, I had the choice of sort of going and working in industry and or doing a university degree. I chose to actually work in pharmaceuticals, and I did a degree 6 years part-time, which is why I became so good at Open University stuff, because I used to do the degree in my spare time, or 1 day a week. So I didn't do a formal university course, and I've done Open University study ever since. As was mentioned, I worked for a pharmaceutical company. I had this difficult career choice of music or science. And I wasn't so good at music, but I was rather good at science. And I think I chose to do part-time degree because my parents were very old by then, of course, and I didn't think they could properly afford for me to go and do that. So I did 6 years hard labour. You will all know that the Open University is not an easy ride. They don't give you the degree quickly. You have to work for it. And that's actually something to be prized. So I learnt that very early on. I worked on new product development, so I scaled up products like the human form of insulin, the first product for HIV/AIDS. I loved science. In fact, I was more like a cook. So I was sort of thinking, how could we make these products safely without actually, doing any damage to the world? And I think it was such a great training ground for learning what I do now. Eventually, about the age of 34, we'll skip a few years because you're probably thinking, my goodness, how long will he go on for? I started tutoring for the Open University. I was spotted when I'd finished tutoring by someone and they said, "You're very gregarious, Mr. Cook." I had to look that word up. And he thought I could perhaps speak with people and mix with them. So they didn't just accept me at that face value. They asked me to come down and do a free event for them, which was the real assessment centre to see whether I could actually interact with people. So even joining the OU was very, very hard, and properly so. I liked doing the MBA so much, I felt I had to tutor it in the end. So after some time, I moved from tutoring diploma courses through to the MBA. And, well, I've already spoken highly of the Open University. I was so pleased to find out that you've got a university here and get the invite. But you're probably wondering if the hat is going to stay on, and am I going to say anything about Richard Branson? So I will. About 3 or 4 years ago, Richard likes to set tests to encourage people, a bit like the Open University. They're open tests, competitions that people can apply for. And he invited people to talk about what they learned from leadership, not from a textbook in this case, but Richard hasn't attended the Open University. He's an avid learner of life and he reads avidly, so in a sense he is an open learner, but he hasn't attended formal education in that way. But he invited people to write about what they had learned about leadership from family members. And so I ignored this until someone nudged me on social media. So I got a LinkedIn note from someone, you should do this. And I tend to do what I'm told most of the time. So I applied for this thing and put in the bit about being a virgin birth and various other things, and then forgot promptly about the whole thing for 2 weeks. And then the next thing I got was an email from Richard saying, would I like to come and meet him? That went very well, and it led to ending up writing for Virgin on virgin.com. You probably can find them somewhere on Virgin. I write about sort of personal and business development mostly for Richard. I also made the mistake, because, I mean, when you have a degree, you think that life's going to proceed very successfully, but my life has been a catalogue of errors as much as successes. I made the mistake of taking Meatloaf's singer into one of the Virgin lounges in London, and we performed one of Meatloaf's songs just casually. And the people at Virgin thought that was very good. So they invited me to host events for them. So I now do this as a sort of a contribution to society. But working with Virgin is very interesting. Virgin is the epitome of a creative business. It has 400 businesses rather than one enterprise. They're mostly small businesses. If anyone studied anthropology here, they conform to what we call Dunbar's number. You know, once an organisation becomes a certain size, maybe 100, 150 people, they sort of divide it up. Some of Virgin's enterprises are bigger than that, but they keep things small. I think that in business, if you want to be agile, sometimes you've got to keep the thing as if it's a small enterprise. And Virgin epitomise that scientific curiosity that I practiced so early on on my table doing chemistry experiments. And unusually in the world of enterprise and business, Virgin allow people to make mistakes, to even catastrophic failures, providing one learns from them. Richard himself is candid about the mistakes he's made. The most easy one to describe was when Virgin thought they could conquer the world in Coca-Cola. And to launch Virgin Coke, they decided it would be a good idea to make a very big noise in New York. So Richard hired a tank and crushed hundreds of cans of Coca-Cola with a Sherman tank, with a hat on that fitted, but one dressed as Che Guevara. Virgin thought that was it. They had conquered the world with Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola simply phoned up all their suppliers and said, we've got a lot of Coca-Cola on the shelves in our warehouse. Could we fill Walmart and all of the shelves because we got too much? And a month later, everyone had forgotten about Virgin Cola. So that was one of his biggest failures. But he manages to continue that, and he encourages his staff to try things and ask for forgiveness, not permission. And I think that was one of the other things I took away from the Open University. The other thing about Virgin is tremendously collaborative. And if you want to actually manage ideas and be a creative business, it's not enough to just have curiosity, forgiveness, and be friendly with people. You have to have a sense of management, a sense of direction. I think Virgin stands out from the businesses that don't succeed because it also has some sense of direction within that creative, innovative style. So turning back to you, this hat is getting, it must be warm.
Very warm.
We need some adhesive. So your degree, then, it's an international language for you, more than anything else. When I did an MBA, I thought I was just studying business, and I was not. I was studying 5 or 7 foreign languages. I don't mean French or Swahili. I do mean things like finance, HR, operations, marketing, computing, and so on. And if you're going to work in business these days, if you have an MSc or a graduate, you have a specialism. But you need also to be what I call T-shaped. Does anyone know what that means? What it means is to hold on to a great career, you have to have a root, your specialist topic. But to be successful in business now, you have to speak across businesses. Collaboration is very much the way to go with information businesses, where you're not necessarily working with staff who actually have to be obedient to you because you don't necessarily own them. So you have to collaborate with people that have different specialisms, and you have to be able to handshake and understand what they do. I was talking in the queue just now with a biologist, and so my training in music and science was very handy because we were able to exchange 1 or 2 brief moments about that. So I think your degrees will equip you with the root, the specialism, and in some cases also the the cross-curricular stuff, which is so important to compete in a global environment. I've managed so far not to use the word Brexit, and I'm going to remain with that. But at least Mauritius is open for business, where we seem to be returning to be an island, but we'll see how that works. In conclusion, you're clearly lovers of learning, otherwise you wouldn't be here. Your partners have supported you in this process, and that's actually to be commended. As you move forward, it really is about leadership, of transforming the futures of those that you work with and lead and collaborate with. I think the future now has got to be about innovation. We can no longer hold on to power through other means. So that's transforming bright ideas into profit and or sustainable social good, depending whether you're in an organisation that's not for profit. It is about having creativity and curiosity and coming up with those brilliant ideas that society so desperately wants or needs. And it is about enterprise, of collaborating across organisations, of building new businesses, organisations, products and services that benefit the world. And I just about succeeded at keeping the hat on. I congratulate you with your degrees, and give yourself another round of applause, please.